you this morning?
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Mahu, good morning.
Good morning, Adewale, and good morning to our listeners all over the world.
To your listener, you can be a part of our conversation. You can listen by dialing the magic number 88.7 FM or just log on to Diamond FM's online platform, our website, www.diamondfm.net. You can also listen to our online Fab Radio Guardian or follow us across our channel at Diamond 887 FM. You can also watch us live on YouTube, Diamond 887 FM. My name is Adeyemi Adewale. Once more, let's get into the nitty gritty of our conversation. As I've earlier mentioned, to the earlier that we'll be discussing the recent headline inflation, particularly looking at the food inflation rise, which was announced by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics earlier this week. And also we look at the political situation in Osun State and in Ekiti. Let me also tell you that the current headline inflation figure in Nigeria stands at 15.06% in the month of February. That's according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. However, the food inflation rate saw a bit of spike in the month of February 2026. Previously in January, it was down by 4.69%, but it has now gone up to 10.70%. That's a move of about 5.59% in that regard, approximately about 6% increase in the price of food items in the country. This day says the food inflation rate, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, said had to go up due to the prices of beans, carrots, some of the vegetable foods that we eat, cassava, tuber, crayfish, millet, and yam flour, just some of the regular food items we consume in our home, which have seen a spike in its hike. And this is where our conversation will be starting earlier. And this is what we've talked about. Um, some of the policies of the government in terms of capitalism, uh, and also when we have the removal of fuel subsidy. We also talk about it when we were speaking about what is happening between Israel, Iran, and the USA, and the need for government to think about something to cushion the current hike in the price of fuel. But before we get deep into it, let's quickly get the opinion of the elders in the house. Mao, let me start with you. We saw food inflation rate going up. Could this be down to the festive period?
And honestly, everything in Nigeria is defined almost all the economic permutations of the different inclines. But why? Naturally, you find out that the inflationary rate is always commensurate with what is happening to a particular system at a time. And Nigeria cannot be an exception.
Mm.
You find out that in the month of February, most Nigerians are getting happier that things have started coming down, especially the prices of food items.
Mhm.
But suddenly, when we entered the period of Ramadan and Lent, that we even thought it would come down further, there was this war between Israel, US, and Iran.
Mm.
This war led to the escalating prices of fuel. And this escalating prices also to the escalation of transport fares.
Now, if we look at this, that's why I asked the question: is it due to the war, or partly due to the fact that we are in the festive season? Because the war between in the Middle East right now between US, Israel, and Iran is probably less than 2 weeks old, and that's into the month of March. But the headline inflation rate we're looking at right now is from the month of February. So can we still attribute it to the war in the Middle East, or probably just what we tag in Nigerian thing, the festive period?
Let me tell you, it's all combined. Because when you are trying to trace the cause of an event, is not always, in most cases, not a singular cause. It's always multi causes. It's always one thing that leads to the other and that actually produce the system we are having.
Mm.
And this cannot be an exception. No, I always emphasize one thing, that a child is a product of his environment.
Mm-hmm.
Nigerians being what we are, most of us are capitalists in nature.
Mm.
And we believe in maximizing profits on our businesses and services.
Mm-hmm.
And we are having a festive period. This festive period should be a period of solemn reaction, a period of giving to people, a period of showing some compassion. But sometimes this thing is always counter, because even those that ought to have waited for the compassion and tenderness of the period who always wants to maximize profits. So this makes it wrong counter to our expectations.
Mr. Barry, let me bring you in on this. We are looking at two things. Mao have pointed to the fact that there could be several causes, including the war. Let's get your own opinion on that. Do you think the war is also a reason for the increase in the price of food items, food inflation in the month of February?
There was a slight increase in food prices in the month of February. Essentially, in my opinion, it was due to supply chain inadequacies. But you see,
You do not think it's due to the festive period or anything? You think it's due to market forces, demand and supply?
yeah, supply chain inadequacies. I would rather call it that. You see, the reality is that movement within Nigeria is
Mm.
difficult. Let me try to be empirical now.
Mhm.
Let us look at, say, Tata tomato,
Mm.
Albasa. These things come from Sokoto, Kastana, Kebi.
Mm.
There are serious security challenges in those particular. So if I'm a trailer driver or a transport operator, maybe regularly I will collect from Kastana to Lagos, maybe I'm collecting 3 million.
Mhm.
With the security challenges, I will increase it by about 500,000.
Mm.
That is what I mean by supply chain challenges, vagaries in the supply chain. That is one factor. Then, apart from that, there's also the fact that many of these things are seasonal. As we are now, we are about at what almost the dry season is coming to an end.
Mhm.
And in Nigeria, we have very minimal storage capacity. So most of the food, in fact, all the food we are eating now is the food that was grown in 2025.
Mhm.
So those stocks are coming down. So as those stocks are coming down, prices will go up. So it is a general cycle. But because there is so much shortage of financial resources, we are feeling it. That is one part of it. Then we are in on that. Then the international oil prices go up. And international prices, oil prices go up because of the war. So typically with every Ramadan season in particular, there's always a slight rise in price because more people go to the
There's
market
demand.
and buy more things. So there's more demand. So despite the fact that the market people bring out the supply, they will still up the supply because it is a peak buying season. It's
Mhm.
just like Christmas, Um, Christmas all over the world there is slight inflation. You see, inflation in itself is not a bad thing. It is when it becomes galloping that it becomes a bad thing because it is the slight rise in prices that gives the real sector the incentive to produce more.
Mm.
Aha. So, so like I would say, the supply chain thing, the security in a lot of the food growing areas, the security situation is horrible. In some place, in other food growing areas, access like Kayama,
Mhm.
the roads are bad and they are getting worse. So and of course we also know that in the Kayama axis too, there's also security challenges. May God rest the souls of the people who departed this world in war.
Mhm.
So we have those problems. But everything, fast forward to today, rests on energy. We are in this studio now, we are using electricity. I came here now with
So you think the fact that we do not have power also have a part to play in this?
Yes.
energy huh? Of any sort. The energy you use for your electricity, your domestic energy, your vehicle energy, huh? all rest on energy. And energy prices have gone up now. So we are coming through a period of slight inflation.
Welcome back from the commercial break. You're still listening to Editors and Gouts on your shiny supreme radio station, Diamond 88.7 FM. Now, before we went to that quick commercial break, we're looking at the element of price control. Because the arguments, Mr. Bayomi, from
Yes.
some who are actually looking at this excess of price control, I've looked at it that one thing that we have in Nigeria is fluctuation of prices of anything. And they've agreed that in advanced countries, you do not always have these fluctuations as we have it in Nigeria. And the essence of having government is to ensure that there's cushion for the citizens. And controlling the prices is one of those ways to ensure that this cushion gets to the citizens. And also, they've looked at fuel subsidy. That one of the essence of the fuel subsidy is to ensure that the price of these food items, of this item by in petrol in that regard, is being controlled. So, what's your own reaction to some who have looked at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Because this is something that his own administration have decided to leave the market to market forces to decide the price.
In 1986, we brought in one system. We brought in something called the Structural Adjustment Program. That Structural Adjustment Program, effectively, in my opinion, well, not before I go to my opinion, was designed to deregulate the entirety of the Nigerian economic system. It is that system that brought us to where we are today. It was that system that reportedly opened up the Nigerian economy. Otherwise, there were certain sectors that only certain Nigerians can participate. So the whole structural adjustment program is what deregulated the Nigerian economy. It's not Tinubu. Hold on.
Okay. even apprehended, arrested, and
No, if because if
That's the
no,
drums.
once they don't do that, the scam will
Is it
continue.
the regimes before
Him.
Tinubu
Hmm?
has been seen that subsidy has always been a scam.
No, let's get something straight now. I'll bring in Alaji also on this. It's the fact that if the international market says price of food will get to 2,000 naira per liter, we'll buy it also in Nigeria. With the current economy we've been coming through, that most Nigerians have been complaining about the hardship in the economy, the government will also leave the citizen to buy the price of fuel at the rate of 2,000 naira per liter. If it gets to like that, because we cannot decide when the war in the Middle East ends. Is that what we are saying?
What
Okay.
the government, what people like us could suggest,
Or what are we suggesting to
to
the
the
government?
government is that instead of allowing this issue of war to actually promote high inflation, government could do some other things.
Like what?
Like for instance, government could subsidize agriculture, could subsidize education, so that especially if government decides to subsidize agriculture, there will be more production of foods, and there will be food
What about the
security.
transportation of the food?
Look, government has done some things in that direction. Is that the only thing is that they have not done enough? Like all these CNG buses. We are yet to see CNG buses, even in our state capital here. And we have 774 local government in Nigeria. So if most of these CNG buses are made, or CNG vehicles are made available across the country, there will be less dependent on.
Okay, I want to say something, but
Mr.
I know
Mr.
Alaji has some things to say.
Mr. Bami, let's quickly bring. We need to get your own your opinion too. And part of what we're discussing before you actually walk into the studio has to be the headline inflation rate in the country, particularly the increase in food inflation, over 4% in the month of January, and in the month of February, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics told us that we are now having over 10% of inflation rate. That's about 6%, approximately 6% increase in just a month. And we are looking at the factors that might be responsible for this inflation rate and what the government could have done or should have done to ensure that this is not the way it's meant to be. And don't forget, we are heading into an election year. And part of what has been spoke about in the studio has to do with the war in the Middle East, the festive period, or part of government policies. So, in your own opinion, Alaji, what do you think contributed to the increase in food inflation rate in the country?
Well, thank you, the anchor man, and I agree with my guest in the studio. I pay homage. Inflation is not alien and it's not strange to Nigerians. And we first began to hear that in the 60s, especially, particularly and precisely during the Civil War and after the Civil War, as a result of economic disruptions and other things. Then it began to, to bite hard in the 80s. But the one we're talking about, so I've established the fact that it is not something that we're hearing for the first time. We have gotten used to that word inflation. But what seems to have pushed inflation higher is the current situation in the global oil industry. And I will say it is not the fault of the government because government is not responsible for the Iran war. And why are we actually suffering the after effects of the war? There is what we call Strait of Hormuz, which is a shipping choke point. And it has been closed by Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, it has affected everything in the global oil industry. In terms there are supply constraints and other things, and definitely there will be increase in the prices of petroleum products. But what is and in Nigeria, petrol is very important. It's just like water. As a matter of fact, after water, what is important to Nigerians is petrol because it is central to almost everything.
Mm.
And once the pump price of petrol increases, even if it increases by 1 naira, the woman selling gari will tell you the person that used to bring it from Osiekiti has increased the bus fares, and definitely she also will have to increase the price. So it is very important that once it is so important to us that once there is an increase in the pump price, yeah, definitely it will reflect on everything. So what we're saying is this: now it has been established that we are the inflation is getting pushed higher, and we know that what is responsible for it is not a local matter, and what is responsible for it is not something that we can say, look, put a stop to this. So what do we do, or what should we do? It is simple. There are policies already in place to fight inflation before now. And the only thing the economic team needs to do is to sit down, review the policies, possibly rethink decision on some of the policies. And the Minister for Finance, Mr. Wale Edu, said something last week that the government is ruling out the return of subsidy or partial subsidy, but it may be the last resort. Meaning that eventually, if they realize that there is no way to handle the situation better than introduction of partial fuel subsidy, they may settle for that. And I will say this: while people were talking about removal of subsidy, and when government uh, introduced or announced the removal of subsidies, there were several statements, but the most important ones were the fact that, oh, look, it will go beyond 500 within 6 months. They made promises that, okay, transportation costs, they will take steps to the respect of this and that. It is over 2 years now, because the announcement was made on May 29, 2023, and this is 2026.
3 years. Almost
What was sold at 5 naira in June 2020 after the removal of subsidy has it reduced to 4 naira. Rather, possibly it is now 7 naira or 10 naira. So there is this existential distrust, and once you fail to fulfill a promise, once you fail to do that,
let's quickly go on this quick commercial break. Well, we'll come back from the commercial break, and we need to trade the full line up on 0913 655 6953. That's the number to call. 0913 655 6953. Before we leave this, I need us to quickly double upon one important thing, and that's to look at critically the removal of fuel subsidy. It is a blessing for our nation, or it's otherwise. Because I look at what the statement that you said, the Minister of Finance said, at the point I think he's the newly appointed Minister of State who was also thinking about palliative. And I said, at this point in time, as much as we are complaining about the increase in the price of fuel, our federal government are getting what we call crude excess, which means as these prices keep going up, they are also getting more. So the question is, what are we doing with the more money? Why are we not looking at subsidizing something that we know is going to ensure that you get the people will get the direct impact directly to the common man? But quickly, we'll go on this quick commercial break. We'll come back from the commercial break. Then we dabble into what I just mentioned. Quick commercial break. I'll be back.
Ta ló mọ̀ ó wá sọ ohun mímu
Scam ní subsidies gan nìyẹn o, ká má parọ́ tọ́ra wa o. Welcome back from that commercial break. Like I said earlier, the phone line is open 0913 655 6952. That's the number to call. WhatsApp is 0913 655 6864. But before we start taking calls, let's quickly, within short period, look at his subsidy removal. Is it a blessing or otherwise? Or do you need to lecture now?
There is nothing bad in subsidy. In fact, all the candidates that participated in the 2023 election promised to remove subsidy.
We have seen it. But now, is it a blessing? It's been about 3 years. Is it a blessing or the otherwise? Or the nation and Nigeria?
And one thing is that it's supposed to be a blessing to this country.
Okay.
The blessing in that the other things that the money from the funds from subsidy could be used to cushion the effect in other sectors like food security, healthcare, education. They are not reflective. As more money is coming to the federal government is giving to the sub-national, but from the sub-national, it's not getting to the people at the grassroots.
So you should come up with something.
No, if it is not removed, it will mean that a tiny sector of Nigerians will be ripping off the country, and I even don't know what will have happened to Nigeria economy by now if it has not been removed.
Mr. Barry.
Because we are talking of trillions of debts.
From as far back again as 1986, they were calling it appropriate pricing of petroleum products. Then, in due course, they arrived at the one that they call subsidy removal. The fact is that Nigerians were paying less than the value for petrol because it was a natural resource. So the difference between the real cost and the pump head cost was being borne by the government of Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
But because the process, like I said earlier, had become so corrupt that maybe some 1,000, 2,000 people, maybe 10,000 of them, out of maybe 100 million Nigerians over the years, were benefiting from this thing. Now, the question now is that why can't government simply round up these fraudulent individuals and try them and do whatever the law says? The fact is that some people, we've always been talking of impunity. So that issue of impunity is there. So government now felt that, just hold on. So government now felt that the best thing to do is just remove the subsidy. And we are talking about Tinubu already in that 2023 budget. The subsidy regime ended on June 1st.
Well, Mr. Barry,
just hold on.
The question, because of our time, the question I have is, we've witnessed a subsidy regime, and we've seen about 3 years of the non-subsidy regime.
Yes.
And that's why we asked the question. The removal, is it a blessing or otherwise?
You see, that one is beyond me to ascertain whether anything is a blessing or the other one. That one is beyond me. The fact is that the resources that came out of this subsidy removal were spread among the subnational units, that is the state governments. That is why you can see a corresponding increase, sometimes times 300. I know a particular state that was receiving like 4 billion before. Now, the minimum they have received since maybe September 2023 is 11 billion from 4 billion. On occasion, that particular state has received up to 16 billion. I mean, the federation account figures are there. So I think we should be careful in the way we are directing our blame to who. Because ordinarily, things like health, education, agriculture, that is food security, are really state government matters. And state governors have received this money, but they have refused to invest this money in the welfare of their people. Well, we have different views of what is welfare.
Let's quickly.
So another thing that should have happened, this one, I will face the federal government squarely. We know that everybody, the three of them have said they are going to remove it. So what would have been the alternative? CNG, compressed natural gas. I would have expected that before that time, given the what was on ground, if we say with 774 local governments, okay, 100 CNG vehicles per local government. We didn't see anything. I'm not sure that in the whole of Kwara State we have 100 CNG vehicles.
Even if it is 50, Mr. Bible,
yes.
Even if it is 50, from our own report in our newsroom,
yes.
The little ones that we see imply our road are taking it at the same price.
Because the numbers are too small to make any effective difference in the system.
No, what I'm saying is in terms of price and control.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
If they are buying their prices of the CNG, it is meant to, even if those 50, what we are saying is, even if those
that is exactly what I'm saying.
Is to educate the public.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It is not for your own personal analysis.
No, it's not about
what I'm even trying to say is that, you see, for anything to make a difference, it must be a substantial number.
Yes.
I'm not sure that in the whole of Kwara State we have 200 CNG vehicles. I have no figures, but I'm sure there is a VIO department that can come and tell us. Then the Kwara State government itself, how many CNG vehicles have they provided? I expected that the federal government would have had them. Look at when Obasanjo said the police insecurity. He provided Prado for 774 police division, and every state governor and CP came to Abuja to carry their own. This federal government, where is the CNG vehicle? In the whole of Ilorin, I know only 2 CNG filling stations. One in Zongo and one at post office. The day they are selling fuel in that post office is go slow. So those are the real issues we should address. So, but we should look at let's not forget that there is a federal government. There are state governments. The bulk of our day-to-day requirements reside with the state government. So we have to strike a balance in our criticism.
Mr. Bible.
Alhaji
Abari.
Thank you, the anchor man. Whether it is a blessing or a curse, thank you. I will say this. Personally, I've never supported the removal of subsidy. And my argument and my line of argument has been that you have 15 children, and you now say because your neighbors do come to your house to eat with your children, and you stop giving them food or providing food for them. No, you're supposed to take steps to stop your neighbors from coming to your house. And if you say people are fraudulent and people are, altering figures and doing some other negative things, those people, are they not still Nigerians? Are they not still around? Are they not doing it in some other way? Why not stop them? If you think they are too big to be stopped, then the other things they are doing. Okay? So that means you leave them. If you have the political will to announce the removal of subsidy, you should have the political will to stop people
from prosecute fraudulent.
Yes, that is the truth. But let's leave that. Well, the blessings, we have the student loan, NEL fund. Then we have, but some people, you see, one thing that I do say is that you may hear about a scheme or a program that has been announced by the government and you think it is not beneficial to some people. No, it is. Because I met someone who was able to get things done for himself through the money that was paid by that program that was headed by Shibajo during the first term of Muhammadu Buhari. During that 4 years, I think it was 30,000 naira.
In power.
He was saving that money, and that was the money that he used to do. It's personal. I don't need to be. But what I'm saying is this: NEL fund has been beneficial to some people. There have been some students who may have, lost out the opportunity to pursue their educational whatever. if not that
Because of
program
that
has
net
been
fund.
put in place. So net fund as
Hello.
a beneficiary.
Okay. You see something?
Net fund. Then the state governors, prior to the Tinubu administration, before the Tinubu administration came into being, governors were always going around to look for bonds, loans. But now they are enjoying. In fact, they don't need to go for bonds, they don't need to go obtain loans. They have enough money and they are enjoying. So nobody talks about delay in payment of salary because the money is there already. So those are the advantages. But the disadvantages, what we are facing, the after effects, we may not be able to escape from it in the next 50 years. You have a lecturer.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Mr. Rotimi from Owo, good morning to you. Mr. Rotimi, can you please stay away from your radio sets? Mr. Rotimi,
No, move away from your radio now.
sorry, Mr. Rotimi. We simply cannot hear you. Can you help us when you call in? Try and move away from your radio sets. In the
And
studio.
turn down the volume totally.
And turn down the volume of your radio. The number to call is 0913-655-6952. Let's quickly go on this quick commercial break. We'll be back. Mr. Rotimi, good morning to you. Thank you very much, Mr. Rotimi from Aurora.
Let us quickly collect revenue. From
Thank-
$3,
thank-
it has gone
thank-
to
thank-
$5 plus fuel in America.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rotimi. But you were about to say something.
Yes, that the price, he said that in America, these things don't happen. In the last 2 weeks, the price of petrol in America has gone from $3 per gallon to 5.57, $6.02 per gallon in America in the last 2 weeks.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Thank you very much, Mr. Goodwin. Thank, thank you very much, Mr. Godwin. Thank you, thank you very much, Mr. Godwin. Thank you very, thank you very much, Mr. Godwin, for your opinion. Just calling out on government officials to obviously ensure that dividends of democracy gets to the common man on the streets. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning to you. Mm, mm, mm. Thank you very much for your opinion. Thank you very much for your contribution. Good morning. It is Jimo Jamil. I want to ask the elders in the house: is there any chance that Nigeria may or might work out in our time? Because things are getting bizarre every day. The president went to the UK, and almost all the governors are traveling to visit him in the UK again. It simply means they are not feeling the impact of the economic turmoil. The effects of the subsidy removal are only felt by ordinary Nigerians. Bring back the fuel subsidy. We are not enjoying the impact of its removal. Nigeria must be good. Thank you very much for your opinion. Quickly, let's look at this.
Let me correct one thing there. When there was fuel subsidy, we would queue in the fuel stations for days. Now that it's been removed, there's no more queue in the fuel stations.
Mm.
And above all, let us be hopeful. Nigeria shall be great again.
Nigeria shall be great again. Government should focus on cost of living allowance adjustment per month. Government should enable access to basic social service like food, electricity, health, transport, internet, housing, and education. Let's just talk about the cost of governance. That's the message from Mr. Kolade Anide from Amsterdam. Thank you very much, Mr. Kolade Anide, for your contribution on the show this morning. Time is really fast spent, and we obviously need to leave this into the studio. We have to look at the political landscape of what is happening in Ekiti and also in Osun State, where we'll be having off-cycle elections in the year 2026. Let's quickly get the opinion of Mao. What's the situation? How far are we going in Ekiti?
By July, there will be election in Ekiti. The election is just like a one-party domineering state because PDP that ought to have provided stiff opposition to the ruling APC in Ekiti State is not participating. It's been asked by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
I
And
think we went to court at the point, and court granted that he should be reinstated. What's the update on that?
But to my own knowledge, it seems INEC has appealed that judgment, and as long as INEC has appealed, the status quo remains.
Hmm.
That's the principles of.
What about in Osun?
In Osun, it's a big battle between Accord and the APC, but as it is now, the as the campaign progresses in Osun, or you should not forget some facts that Osun, like Kwara, is a civil service state. Then, apart from being a civil service state, we should know a fact that it is a state where the core Yoruba values still matters.
Mm.
So that will be part of what will determine who emerges victorious in Oslo.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bami, you want to add something about the chances of Governor Ademola Adeleke?
Well, I must confess that while I do not belong to any political party. Me, I am strongly biased in favor of Adeleke, so I don't know how my views will be seen. But I believe that Ademola Adeleke, Jackson, Mouhideen, the dancing governor, deserve the second time in office. That is my opinion. And in short, I wish him well. That's all I would like to say.
Well, the campaigning has reached a fever pitch, but the point is this: we now have candidates. It's not about primary elections anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We have candidates, and they are ready. And INEC has given the go ahead, giving them the go ahead to go to campaign and some others. The thing is, I will not say this candidates will win and these candidates will lose, but I know that one cannot really say this is what will happen. Even in Ekiti State, where Chairman Mao was almost saying that it is a sure victory for Adeyemi. I won't say that because we still have like we have like 4 months in Kwara. In Osun State we have like 5 months. So people take decision on what should be the outcome of elections.
Mm-hmm.
They do that even like 2 weeks to the election. So let's wait and see.
So everything is still poised at this point in
Let's
time.
wait
That's
and
just
see.
what
Let's keep
Alhaji.
our fingers crossed.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. That's the message from Alhaji Abayomi in the studio. That's about the election in Ekiti and also in Osun State. Our time is really fast, and we need to leave the studio. A special thank you to the producer of this program, Mr. Michael Abiodun Adewale, Mao for short, the general manager of Diamond FM, for putting the show together. My name is Adeyemi Adewale. And do not forget, when you wake up every morning, say a word of prayer for Nigeria. From our hand here at Diamond FM, we say God bless Nigeria. Good morning. Alhaji, but the thing so, then going. Who said, don't go on for 10, so, okay.